What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm TC. Today we'll be looking at introduction to Scratch. What is Scratch to start with? Scratch is a block programming, basically a visual block programming, whereby you stack up blocks of codes to create animations, stories, games, and you can clone a real life game and make it playable. Okay, Scratch is for mostly for kids, but it doesn't prevent any other person from using it. And due to the nature, it is easy to use and easy to learn. It helps enhance our kids or anyone that is new to programming, enhances their ability to understand the pattern and the basic knowledge you need to have to start programming very well. Okay, today we'll be looking at the Scratch environment. In this whole environment, it's divided into different sections. Over here we have the stage, and on the stage we have the sprites. You can have more than one sprite. Currently we have just one. Now this is the sprite we have and this is the selected sprite. You can see what shows the selected sprite over on the code area. Okay. Now if I want to add another sprite, I will simply click on this or click on search. Both of them chooses a sprite for me. Now when I click on this, I have tons of sprites listed out for me already made by Scratch. So I can choose any Scratch of my choice. So I want to pick dog one. I'll have dog one. Maybe position this here, position this here, however you want it. Now down here you notice that we now have two sprites rather. Now the one that is selected is highlighted and you have the waste bin icon, which whenever you click on it, it deletes it. And it shows up over here on the code section, which means whatever we do on the code section is going to affect the selected sprite. So if I want to choose the cat, I'll click on this and you see the waste bin and the blue highlights on this. Okay, so say I don't need this, I'll simply click on the bin icon and it deletes that. Then for the sprites, you have some properties. The first one is the sprite name. Currently, we are having sprite 1 and it's showing here as sprite 1. I can click and delete this and maybe call this cat. And once I click anywhere outside the input box or press enter, it saves it and I have my sprite name to be cat. Next on the list is the X and Y axis. So the horizontal and the vertical. The horizontal for the X axis and the vertical for the Y axis. This determines the position of the cat on the stage. For example, if I move this down somewhere here, you notice that this value changes. Okay, how does this work? Just like our X and Y plane. From the left to the center, or probably let's do it this way. At the intersection of the x and the y axis, you have the zero, which is the origin. From the center towards the left horizontally is our negative x-axis. So something like -1, -2, -3, -4 in that order. And towards the right, it increases 1, 2, 3, 4, just like a number line. Then the same thing is applicable for the y-axis. From the center upwards is positive y values 1, 2, 3 and the rest, and then downwards is non-negative -1, -2, -3 and in that order. So if my cat is towards the left hand side, you notice my x value is minus, and when I drag it over to the right past the center, it turns positive. Bring the cat down, my y turns negative. Bring it up, it turns positive. If I'm able to get the center, I should have something like 0, 4. Either this or this. That will be difficult, but you can simply also go inside and edit it and make it 0 and make this 0 2. Okay, so this is the center of the screen. So that's for the X and Y axis. You use it to position your sprite on the stage. Then next on the list is the show and hide, whereby you use this to show the sprite on the stage and this to hide the sprite on the stage. So show, hide. That's basically what it does. And we have codes we can use to initiate this. Then next is the size of the sprite. It's basically in percentage. If I reduce this to like 50, which is going to be 50%, half its original size, that's what I will get when I press enter or click anywhere outside the input. And when I want to have times 2 of its original size, I'll just simply do 200 and I'll have the size as big as this. Lastly on the list, we have the direction. So currently it's facing 90 degrees. This direction is total of 360 degrees, which is angle in a circle, and it's pointing in the right hand side, which is this is angle 90 degrees. Now, instead of having a full 360, it was dissected into two. The right hand side is the positive value, that is 180, half of 360, so 0 to 180, and the left hand side is the negative values, 0 to minus 180. So if I drag this down, you see the angle is increasing and up till 180. Okay, and on this side you have negative values down to minus 180. So that's for the angle, and you use it to determine the position of the sprite, sorry, the direction of the sprite on the stage. Okay, now still from choosing a sprite, we have other things we can do. Remember, clicking on choose a sprite on the icon and the search does the same thing. Here we have paint, which is when you want to create or design your own sprite. You use this and you are given a whiteboard to draw or create your own sprite. Okay, so you can see it's a plain board for you to draw or create your own sprite. Then also you have the surprise. When you click on the surprise, it automatically chooses a sprite for you randomly on its own. So if I click on surprise again, I get a different sprite. So what you have on the first one is not what you have on the second one. It's randomly chooses. And then when you have an already designed sprite from outside Scratch, you can upload from here. On the sprites, on the stage actually, we have a white backdrop, which is this. Sounds like a background color or a background whatever to the stage. So you have the same search for the backdrop, paint your own backdrop, get a surprise, randomly choose, and upload your own backdrop. So let's just search, and you can see we have tons of backdrops we can use from or we can choose from. So I'm going to just choose Night City 2, I guess. So I have my sprites on the stage. So that's how the backdrop looks. Now, other than this, we have the code area, which is this. Now, this is where you stack up your codes to create designs of things. And you have some things. Let's say I have just moved 10 steps. If I click on this, you notice my cat moves. You see that? Now, if I do turn 15 degrees, attach it to this. Now, when I click on this, it moves and turn. So, stacking up these codes, coming up with the logic, gives you fanciful events on the stage or animation or using it to create games. Okay, now on the leftmost part, you have three tabs: the code, the costumes, and the sound. Now, the code is where you have different categories of events you can carry out or things you can do, and each have blocks of codes which you drag and then create stuffs. The first one is motion, where you have everything about movements, which is motion. The second one is looks, the way it looks, some things it can say and think, switching the costume, changing the size, the effects you have on the sprite's look. That's what looks is all about. The sound it can make. Since this is a cat, it plays a sound, and you can have that. Okay, and then you have other things, starting the sound, stopping the sound, changing the volume, and other things you can do, even changing the pitch. We have the events when something happens. For example, if I say when flag is clicked, do these two things. So this is my green flag. If I click on it, it does this. You see. So these are events when space key is pressed. If you press your space bar, it does some event. So that's what event is all about. And we have the controls. This is more like the logic. For example, the repeat. If I want to do this particular thing 10 times, I'll use the repeat and put this inside the repeat. Attach it to this, and when I click on the green flag, it does this 10 times. So you notice initially the movement and the turning is just very small, but now it's moved a whole lot. So that's basically what this is all about. And we can also have the condition if statement, whereby you specify a condition here, and when it is true, it does whatever you have here. We'll later get on how to solve these whole things and use all these codes one by one. The sensing aspect is what you use more as the condition. When it senses there is a touch on the mouse monitor or other things you might have, then it does some events. The operator to bring in two conditions and do more things, just like operators in mathematics. And variables, whereby you create your own variable that has some things it can do for us, just more like a container, a holder that can hold a value for us and my blocks. So these are the different sections, categories you have in the code area, and each have its own blocks of code. Then the costume is the area where you design the look of your sprite or your stage or whichever thing you want to design. You can paint your own from this place. You have some tabs, some things you can use. We'll get to a video whereby we'll be discussing how to do all these designs. And then we have the sounds. By default, this is a card. We have the mute sound selected for us. We can click on sound to search. We have different sounds. Anyone you add, you can play. You see that. So this is a piano, a pluck of key or a stroke of key on the piano. So you can choose anyone you want. You can make it faster, slower, louder, softer, and a whole lot of things you can do to it. So this is just an introduction to how the Scratch environment looks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit on the notification button so that you get all amazing videos as we are dropping them. Thank you.